Hello, Jason Burns, Quiet Atheist here. First and foremost, I wanted to mention the fact that I did watch your latest video. I identified the key points in the video that I wanted to talk about, and we're going to do that today in this video. First and foremost, I apologize if I seemed a bit harsh in my latest video as well. Fact of the matter is, I am very passionate about my position. There are times when I seem a little rough around the edges, but it is my position regardless. I just wanted you to know that. Okay? The second thing I wanted to talk about for a minute is the word intellectual. Okay? There is nothing intellectual about telling a lie for the past 2,000 years. Okay? The word intellectual does not apply to religion. There is nothing intellectual about religion. You could come up with all the fancy arguments you want, but that does not make them true. Like I said, the word intellectual doesn't come with religion, simply because there's nothing intellectual about a lie. Just wanted to point that out. Third thing I wanted to talk about is the fact of you made one mistake at the beginning of your video. You assumed that I said that you got your ideas from Shock of God. I did not mention that. What I did say is the fact that you exhibit the same behaviors as he does when you ask the same questions over and over and over again, when they have been refuted many times over. That is what I wanted to talk about. So I wanted to make that known of what I feel about that current situation. The next thing I wanted to talk about was your little pillow analogy. There is verifiable evidence about your pillow. Okay? The pillow does exist. Way back when it first got invented through a scientific process, all the way up until now. I have a bunch of pillows on my bed that I use every night when I go to bed. A pillow does exist, which is the opposite of your God. There's no evidence for your God whatsoever. Just thought that I'd point that out to you as well. Another thing that I want to talk about is the fact that you mentioned that I don't know anything about God. Before I get into that, I wanted to share with you the fact that I have 33 years of a background in religion before my transition from religion to atheism. I know a lot about this fictitious character. Okay? So what you said there is incorrect. I do know a lot about this subject. So let's go on to the next thing. You mentioned that I said theology is silly. Well, I agree, and you are correct. Theology is silly to me. I just cannot fathom the idea that people would be selling something for over 2,000 years without showing any shred of evidence whatsoever. And the worst thing about it all is people have been buying it for 2,000 years, over 2,000 years, excuse me. It is silly to me, plain and simple. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't be a theist to begin with. But when I was growing up, I was shielded pretty well from anything resembling a rational thought. I just wanted to point that out to you as well. Speaking of history, there's a good video that I want you to look at. Now, I must warn you that the video is very long, but it is something that is well sourced and is really crisp and clear about what it is talking about. The title of the video is The God Who Wasn't There. A link to this video will be provided in the description below for you to take a look at. Again, the video is long, so whenever you have the time, go ahead and take a look at it and actually pay attention to what they have to say. Don't miss a single syllable in that video. Actually pay attention to what they have to say. And like I said, the video will be in the description for you to take a look at. Again, you assume that I don't understand who Christ is. I understand who this fictitious character is. Again, I have 33 years of a background in religion before I went to atheism. But for the sake of argument, let's say he was real. Let's say God was real. God would be one of the most barbaric, cruel, unjust God that people have ever known. Let me ask you a few questions. What God would make a woman marry a rapist? What God would promote the killing of 2 kids, or 43 kids, for making fun of a bald man walking down the street? What God would kill millions and millions of firstborns just to prove a point? I want you to answer me these questions, because if he did actually exist, he would be one of the most cruel, barbaric gods that there ever was. And that is just my take on the subject. And then he tries to sugarcoat everything with all this rhetoric. All it is to me is nothing more than propaganda. That's the way that it is to me. I'm sorry that might be a little harsh for you to hear, but that's just the way it is to me. What God would let people build multi-million-dollar churches while the people across the street from that church are starving to death and are homeless? You know what I mean? These are things that don't sit well with me. But enough with that point. I think you have enough to work with. I see in your video that you mentioned the spaghetti monster a lot. Okay. I want you to do one thing for me. Prove to me that the spaghetti monster doesn't exist. I want you to prove to me that he isn't sitting on top of my roof with his noodly appendage. I want you to prove to me that he isn't up there. And last but not least, there's one more thing that I want to mention to you. I consider you to be an atheist, Jason. Because you believe that all these other 99% of religions are man-made. Okay? And like I said in one of my videos before to someone else, the difference between you and me is the fact that I disbelieve in a one less God than you do. Okay? And that's what I wanted to get out to you. One last thing. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to think about all these other religions and why they are man-made. Okay? I want you to think about these religions and their gods, whether it be Zeus, Thor, Ares, Poseidon, Aphrodite, Mars, Jupiter, all of these other gods. Okay? I want you to think why they're fake and these other religions about these gods are man-made. Now, when you come up with a conclusion, okay, you will know firsthand why I do not believe in yours.